Hey, how's it going, everybody? Another video here. This one here is on the Tokyo rig. And thank God I said that right, because y'all don't want to know. I recorded a whole video here earlier that the whole time I called it a Ned rig. So I am so glad I didn't call it a Ned rig or a Zika rig the whole time. But yes, the Tokyo rig, or they call a punch rig, is the same thing. It's a basically set up. It's a couple swivels, split rings down to a wire with a weight on it. It's really all it is. I'm not doing it any different than anybody else is. I'm not trying to say I do it better than anybody else. I'm just showing you there's some different ways of doing it. There are, this is my finesse version of it here. If you're looking to fish different styles of hooks, you can do it like this one here. I can do a drop shot with it, type bait. I can do a really small finesse bait with it. On this one here, I can do a little bit bigger, Texas rigged worm, a little deeper, obviously, a little heavier in weight. You can change up your weights. Like this one here, I got a smaller weight on. This here, you can take it off the end and make it a single weight if you want. I have it like this just as a tryout. But you can basically do it however you want. Swivels are cheap. You can buy them off Amazon for, I think it's a couple hundred of them for, $10. Same with the O-rings. The O-rings actually, I mean not O-rings, I'm sorry, split rings. They come off of Amazon as well. They are haddock, I believe, or Shattuck as well. Both of these are Shattuck products. The split rings are 30-pound test minimum in that small configuration. The swivels themselves are, I think, 40-pound or 50-pound swivels, so they're not going to break anytime soon. Your basic heavy-duty paper clip is all the wire is. Weights, like I said, can be anything. I use old bullet weights. You can use, I've been using these as well. The egg weights, they work awesome for this rig. I know it says bullet weights, but still, I guess that's the brand. But they're actually egg sinkers, brown baits. There's a couple different sizes you can do. I do them smaller, some bigger. If you're going to go really small and a really lightweight, like I make the same rig here, but I use a really super small egg weight on it, and I use a lot smaller hook, and I use it for crappie bluegill. And I do kind of the same setup as this one here, but it's a lot smaller hook, a lot more finesse, and it gets me a lot of bluegill and crappie on it. You can throw it out. It sinks to the bottom. It keeps it off the bottom where all the muck is. Like the lake I fish in has a tendency to be really muddy on the bottom. Lots of lily pads usually, but if you can get in before the lily pads have a tendency to grow, you can get in and fish it. But like I said, it's a muck bottom. So the problem is that these things like this, when you throw it to the bottom, it has a tendency to sit in that mud. And the bass and the fish have a tendency not to want to root around in the mud to get it. This keeps that from happening. It's a little stiffer than a drop shot rig. I don't know if you've ever used a drop shot rig, but you have a tendency to have it ball up on you, tangle up on you. It gets caught up in the hardware. I mean, not quite the same hardware, but it'll get caught up in the knot. It's a mess. I don't know if you've, like I said, if you've ever done it, you know the pain of having it to tear it all apart to tie it all back up again. It's a pain in the butt. This here, the wire is pretty straight. It, if it bends and breaks, it's no big deal, but you're not going to get hung up. Another thing, too, is that with it set up like this, you're not going to have a tendency to have all the weight in the mouth of the fish. So if you're drop shotting with it, or, you're fishing a bait with it, if you've ever had on a Texas rig bait, if you had the worm weight pegged here at the end of the hook, and you've ever set the hook on the bass, if you've ever done it, you'll know it when you do it. You go to set the hook, and he's got the rod bowed, almost doubled in half before you set the hook on it. And when you set the hook, there's nothing at the end of it. And you're like, well, I know I had him. Well, lots of times what will happen is he'll have the weight and the hook in his mouth. What will happen is when you set the hook, you will pull the weight out of his mouth, but it will widen his mouth wide enough to get the hook out with it. So you'll go to set the hook, and you'll just rip the whole thing completely out of his mouth without ever hooking him. And that happens. With this setup, you don't have a tendency to do that. When he grabs the hook, he's not grabbing weights. The weights are way down here. He's going to get a mouthful of swivel, but the swivel itself is a lot smaller than anything else he's going to grab. So you're not going to have that issue of him grabbing the weight. So that's a bonus already. Gives a different presentations. Another thing, a lot of guys fish a lot of you know, wacky rig worms, which you can actually wacky rig on this too, by the way. Don't tell nobody I said that, but you can put a wacky rig worm on that and fish it too. But they fish a lot of wacky rig, a lot of Texas. And I'm trying to throw something that looks different. I seen these here last year. I brought them up to a friend of mine last summer. And I said, hey, you know, this is maybe the next big thing. It looks like it is actually blowing up. The punch rig's actually going to blow up. So just gives you a different presentation. If you haven't fished them yet, if you look online, there's already like probably 50 videos already on how to make these. The reason I say make them like everybody else is because, for one, you can customize them. The VMC ones aren't customizable yet. They don't have different setups on them. I think you can get 1 or 2 different size hooks, and that's it. You can use your own style of hooks. Like here, I'm using the Matsu, the sickle hook on this one. On this one here, I'm using the Eagle Claw Laser Sharp, which is, where's the hook pack at? Ah, here we go. Just you know, your basic, you know, Laser Sharp Eagle Claws, which work really well and are cheap. You can get the hooks as well offline. This whole setup you can buy off of Amazon. Like the swivels are $10. The O-rings are probably another $6 or $7. Swivels maybe $6. The hooks you can get for 9 something. Yeah, you get the style of hook. Each pack of each one of these is in the 100 to 150 piece mark. So you'll get a lot of builds out of the minimal price. For 2 rigs like this in the VMC, you're talking $4. So if you can buy in bulk and make them up and get them ready, like I'm going to make them up and get them ready and throw them in the tackle box ready to rock and roll. Like I already got the wires done here pretty much. I'm just going to set them up like you see here. I've got a bunch of the paper clips straightened out. They're pretty much ready to go. I got to just make up a box that's going to have these in it. I'm going to make them up ready to go with this setup already done minus the weight. So all I got to do is put a weight on it and it's good to go. So, if you haven't tried the Tokyo rig yet, or you plan on using it this summer, here's another DIY, like the 8,000 others out there for you to do. Maybe offering a little bit something different, maybe. Can be done really cheap. Save a little bit of money and try something new. If you're like me and you like to try new stuff, and you want something different that these fish aren't going to see, like the couple places I fish are really pressured, they haven't seen this rig, I guarantee you, because I haven't thrown it yet in there. Once it becomes a big thing like a Senko, everyone will throw this. But until then, you got the jump on it. So give it a shot. Make your own. Get out there and fish them and see how you do. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.